Hey everyone. All right, so this is part 2. So we're going to talk about the recursive formula for arithmetic sequences. Okay, so the recursive formula is a little different. You have this formula. You have to have a first term. So your a sub 1 equals a number of some sort, okay, which represents your first term, okay, and then you have a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1, the whole thing's little, plus your common difference, okay? So here, your a sub n still represents your nth term, okay? Still represents your nth term. A sub n minus 1, the whole thing that's little, represents previous term, okay? So in order to do this, you need to have your previous term, and you have to have your first term, okay? So D is still your common difference, okay? So that's still your common difference. The biggest thing you need to get out of this is you have to have the first term. Okay, if you don't have the first term, then you don't have a starting point to add your common difference one after another. And we're going to do a couple examples of this. So example 5, write the recursive form for the following arithmetic sequences. So we know it's an arithmetic sequence. So we're going to take the information they give us and just write the form. That's all we're doing. Okay, so for part A, we have the first term is 2 and the common difference is -3. So how you would do this is you would say a sub 1 equals 2 and a sub n equals your previous term minus 3, okay? Or you could say plus -3. Either one is fine, but that's it. That's the recursive form. And as we go through other examples, you'll see how this actually does work, okay? So now we're going to move to part D. Okay, we know that we have a arithmetic sequence and we need to write it in the recursive form, which is different than what we've had to do before. So we have our first term and we have our fifth term. Okay, so just like we did before, we have to find, we need our common difference here. Okay, you need your common difference here. So just like we did in the last video, we're going to take our actual terms and subtract them, and then divide them by the term number. So we have 32 minus 4, which is 28, 5 minus 1, which is 4. So here our common difference is 7. So to put it in recursive form, I still need my first term and I need my common difference. Those are the two pieces I have to have. So then when I write it in my recursive form, I have my first term equal to 4, a sub n equals to my previous term, which we're not going to say what it is because we're just writing the formula, plus 9. Okay, so you have a couple examples on the types of problems you're going to see. All right, so when you find your common difference, which is not 9, it is 7. There we go. Make sure you have your first term and the correct common difference. So the next one I want to talk about is part C. So we have our third term, which is -2, and our ninth term, which is -38. So we need to write the explicit form, but we don't have our first term. We don't have a common difference and we don't have a first term. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find what D equals. So we're going to take our actual terms and subtract them and then divide them by the term numbers that they are. So we have -36 divided by 6. So we should get a common difference here of -6. So then what we're going to do is we're going to find our first term, but we're going to use our explicit formula to do that. Okay, so I'm writing out the explicit formula again. We have to have the explicit formula so we know that what our first term is. So there's a couple ways to do this. I prefer using the formula And then you pick a term to use in the formula. So I'm just going to use a sub 3 equals negative 2. Okay, again, there's a couple ways to do this. This is not the only way, but this is the way that I recommend because it is a little quicker. So we have our nth term that we chose is negative 2. We're looking for a sub 1. We have our common difference of minus 6. And we have our term number because it's 3. Okay, and I want you to use this way because I want you to get used to taking the term number, the 3 is n, and the actual term it equals, the a sub n, the negative 2 here, and plug them in appropriately because you're going to need to do that a lot. So it's a skill that you need. So then simplify. 3 minus 1 is 2. 6 times 2 is negative 12. Add 12, add 12. So here your first term is going to equal 10. Okay. So now the last thing we need to do is write our explicit form because we haven't even done that yet. So now we have a sub 1 is equal to 10. We have a common difference, so now we can write our a sub n equals our previous term minus our common difference. And then this is our answer here, this whole last part. Okay? All right, so let me know if you have questions about that. We are going to do one more example, and I wrote it up above here in the space that we had. So for example D, I want you to write a sub 1 equals 2, and a sub n equals the previous term plus 3. Okay? And we're going to find the next, we'll say 5 terms, okay, using our formula. And this is the thing that, this is the part that students struggle with a lot. So I wanted to make sure we talk about it. So our first term here is positive 2. So we need to find our second term. So a sub 2, remember this a sub n minus 1 is our previous term. So what term comes before 2? That's 1. So our previous term is our first term plus 3. Our first term here was 2. We're going to add our 3. And so our second term, a sub 2, our second term equals 5. And we're going to continue this process. So our third term equals the previous term. So what comes before 3? That's 2. Add our common difference. So a sub 2 is 5. Add 3, we get 8. And we're going to, again, continue. A sub 4, what number comes before 4? It's 3, our third term. Add 3, previous term is 8, and we get 11. Okay, so I want you to find a sub 5 and a sub 6 on your own. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so for a sub 5, you should get 14, and a sub 6, you should get 17. So let me know if you have any questions about this process, because sometimes this is a difficult concept for kiddos. So let me know if there's anything that you're struggling with. Have a good day.